Men, when you go silent, man, the very first thing that happens in her mind is disruption. Men, think about it. Human beings are creatures of rhythm, of pattern, a man of expectation, especially in relationships. Men. Communication becomes a kind of music. There's a flow to it, a consistency, an emotional rhythm that both people unconsciously adapt to. She becomes accustomed to your presence and to the steady stream of words, replies and reassurances. And then when that rhythm suddenly breaks, it doesn't go unnoticed. Silence is not neutral. Silence is a shockwave. It interrupts the music she's been moving to. And that disruption forces her to listen more closely than she has in a close scene a long time. You see, in psychology and we talk about the concept of intermittent reinforcement. It's the idea that unpredictability heightens attention and emotional attachment. When something is consistent, it fades into the background. It becomes ordinary, taken for granted. But when it's suddenly withdrawn, the human mind wakes up. Your silence does exactly that. It shifts the dynamic from certainty to uncertainty. Where there was once predictability, but then there was a question mark. Now there's a question mark. And women by nature are highly intuitive and emotionally perceptive beings. They notice subtleties, tone, and timing, expression. So when you pull away into silence, it creates a gap her mind instinctively wants to fill. That gap, that void is not empty for her. It's filled with meaning. Or at least with speculations. She begins asking herself, why is he quiet? Is he upset? Is he disinterested? Did I do something wrong? And that silence is not passive, it's active. It generates energy. It pushes her into analysis. And it forces her into a space of heightened awareness of you. Where before she might have been distracted, comfortable, or even dismissive, suddenly you become the center of her thoughts. Your absence of words echoes louder than 1,000 sentences could. No. Here's what's fascinating. Women are used to men filling space with effort. Explaining, convincing, persuading, even begging. Many men fear silence. Because they associate it with disconnection or rejection. man, but the man who is comfortable with silence. Man who doesn't rush to explain himself. Fu man who doesn't rush to chase validation. Man communicates something incredibly powerful. He communicates that his sense of self is not dependent on her immediate reaction. A man, he communicates that he is not afraid of distance. And this, a man, paradoxically makes her feel your presence more strongly. Man, think of silence as a contrast. Imagine a painting, not just stand out. The colors stand out, not just because of the pigments. Man. But there's a main, but because of the blank space, the empty canvas around them. Manton. Without that space, the painting loses its depth. In the same way, your silence becomes the contrast against which your presence, man, your words, and your attention gain value. A man, if you are always available, always speaking, man, the always filling the air with noise. Man, she doesn't feel the weight of your presence. Man, but when you step back, when you withdraw into silence, man, suddenly the moments you do speak, the times you do show up, a man carry 10 times the weight. Man, and let's not forget, silence is deeply unsettling because it removes control. Man, words can be managed, argued with, interpreted, but silence cannot be negotiated. It offers no handle for her to grab onto. Man, it leaves her with uncertainty. Man, and human beings are wired to crave certainty. Man, especially in relationships, women often seek emotional clarity. Men, their silence denies that, as it doesn't tell her what page you're on. Man, what you're feeling, what you're deciding. Man, and that lack of control is precisely what amplifies her emotional investment. Man, it makes her curious, sometimes anxious, sometimes even desperate to restore the balance. Man, but here's the deeper layer. Silence doesn't just affect her. Man, it reflects something about you. It shows that you are not afraid of space. Man, that you are not clinging. Then there's a man that you are capable of stepping into your own presence without demanding presence, without demanding constant engagement. But this is rare. Most people fear emptiness. A man, most people feel the need to fill every pause with words. Man, to cover every gap with activity, but strength lies in restraint. Man's silence signals that you have nothing to prove in that moment. Man, that your energy is self-contained. and women pick up on this. Men, they might not articulate it, but they feel it. Man, they sense that this is a man who doesn't panic in the absence of validation. A man who can sit with himself, who doesn't crumble when attention is withdrawn. Man, that stability is profoundly attractive because it communicates inner power. Or men, in a world where most men chase endlessly. Man who can step back, who can create mystery through silence. Man instantly separates himself from the rest. Now, of course, as silence is not about playing games. It's not about manipulation. A man, it's about understanding the natural, psychological impact of presence and absence. Man, it's about respecting yourself enough to know that your attention, man, your words and your energy carry weight, and that sometimes a man, the most powerful statement you can make is no statement at all. Because silence is not emptiness, it's emphasis. Man, it highlights what truly matters. Man, and it creates the space for reflection when you go silent. Man, you are not disappearing. You are magnifying your presence. A man, you are disrupting the rhythm she has become accustomed to. And in doing so, man, you force her to feel what your presence actually means to her. And very often, man, that disruption is the very thing that reignites curiosity, respect, and even desire. So remember, these words can explain, persuade, justify, but silence makes her feel. Man, and what she feels in that silence will tell her more about you and about herself. There's a man than anything you could have said out loud. When communication stops, man, something very interesting happens inside her mind. There's a man. She doesn't just notice the absence of your words. Man, she begins to turn inward. Man, silence creates a kind of psychological mirror. Man, and in that reflection, she cannot help but examine herself. Man, this is one of the most underestimated aspects of silence, its ability. But then you need introspection to provoke introspection in the other person. A man where arguments and explanations often lead to defensiveness. Man, silence removes the battle altogether. Then there's a man with no words to push against, no justification to reject. Man, she is left alone with her own thoughts. And those thoughts begin to circle back, not around you, man, but around her actions, her choices, and her behavior. Man, this is why silence is far more effective than constant talking or pleading. When you argue, she hears your words but doesn't truly process them. She's busy preparing her response and hers, protecting her ego. Defending her stance. But when you go quiet, then there's nothing to resist. Silence disarms the natural defenses. Instead of being able to deflect the responsibility onto you, there's she is left in an empty space where the only voice she can hear is her own. And it is in that stillness that true realization begins to unfold. The mind is not like unanswered questions. It seeks closure, a clarity, resolution. So when you go silent, she starts replaying the past. Your last interaction, the last time you laughed together, the tone of your last words, the look on your face, every small detail becomes magnified in her memory. She begins dissecting moments she once ignored. Was she too harsh? Did she dismiss your feelings? Did she overlook your effort? Your silence holds up a mirror. And she begins to see not just you differently, but herself here's the self differently. And here's the fascinating part. The more she reflects, the more your value rises in her mind. Because reflection needed. Because reflection doesn't happen when everything feels predictable. Reflection happens when the flow is disrupted. Your silence creates that disruption. There's it introduces a break in the pattern. And with that break, her mind is forced to search for answers. There's that search doesn't make her weak. It makes her more emotionally invested. She starts thinking about you more than she realizes. She wonders about your state of mind, about what your quietness means. Then what it says about her places in your life. Psychologically, this is powerful because of what's known as cognitive dissonance. There's when her perception of you as someone always available clashes with the new reality of your silence. There's tension. The mind doesn't like this contradiction. To resolve it, she starts adjusting her thoughts. Sometimes even rewriting the narrative she held about you. Maybe she thought you would always be there, always giving. But there's a man always talking, but your silence forces her to reconsider. And often, that reconsideration makes her realize she may have taken you for granted. One man. Now, this doesn't mean that silence guarantees remorse or guilt. Sometimes reflection brings clarity of incompatibility. But more often not, it makes her more aware of your significance. They've used it is manned because absence is not neutral. It creates a contrast that presence cannot. Man's a man, and in that contrast, the memories of your words, your actions, your energy come alive in sharper detail. She remembers the times you listened, the times you gave. The small gestures that once faded into the background. It's in silence that the ordinary suddenly becomes extraordinary. There's also something deeply philosophical about this. Silence reveals truth not by speaking, but by creating space for truth to surface on its own. When you stop filling the air with explanations, she has to sit with her own conscience. She has to confront her own role in the relationship dynamic. There's a and for many women, this becomes the turning point. Because the silence doesn't accuse. It doesn't demand. It simply exists. And its very existence whispers, reflect, look within. Ask yourself what this really means. And make no mistake, women respect this. They may not admit it right away, but they feel it. They respect the man who doesn't rush to justify himself. They respect a man who doesn't try to dominate the conversation with noise. But instead allows his silence to speak louder than words. It communicates restraint. It communicates control. It communicates depths. And these are qualities that stand out powerfully in a world where most people cannot handle even a moment of quiet. So when you go silent, you're not punishing her. You're teaching her. You're teaching her through absence what she could not recognize in presence. And you're giving her the chance to see herself clearly. Without interference. And that is far more valuable than any lecture or confrontation could ever be. But here's the part I want you to really understand. Silence doesn't just change her, it changes you. It teaches you to resist the urge for constant validation. Man, and it teaches you to step back and let truth surface naturally. That needed, but there's a of man. It shows you that your power is not in the words you throw into the air, man, but in the energy you hold within yourself. And in that space, a man, both of you are confronted with reality. Those bees, man. So the next time you feel the urge to explain endlessly, abandon, to defend yourself, to chase for clarity, I remember this, man. Silence has a way of doing the heavy lifting for you. It carries weight. It commands attention, and it opens doors to realization that words can never achieve. Silence is not just disruption, and it's not just a mirror. And it's not just a mirror. It's also a profound shift in power. When you go quiet, a man, you're not simply stepping back from communication, and then you're creating an entirely new dynamic. Suddenly, a man, the one who was used to receiving your energy, your words, man, your reassurances, is faced with a void, and in that void, man, the balance changes. Man, it's no longer about her setting the terms of engagement. It's about her wondering where's she now. It's about her wondering where she now stands with you. There's a man. That uncertainty, that unpredictability is what creates respect. Man, mystery, and very often desire. Let's be honest. A man in relationships, predictability kills intrigue. Man, if she knows exactly when you'll text, man, exactly how you'll respond, exactly how you'll respond, exactly how you'll reassure her. Men, the sense of value decreases. Man, human nature is wired to undervalue what is gone you, what feels guaranteed, and overvalue what feels uncertain or rare. This is why luxury goods are scarce. Men, why? Opportunities with limited access feel more appealing. Men, and why people chase what is not immediately available. The same principle applies here. Man, your silence communicates that you are not always accessible. Man, not always predictable, not always on demand. The meant that scarcity immediately elevates your presence. Man. And this is not about manipulation. It's about natural law. Man, when something is rare, it is respected. Man, when something is always available, it's dismissed. Man. Think of how we treat airs versus diamonds. Both are valuable. Air is so abundant, but air is so abundant we never stop to admire it. Diamonds needed, on the other hand, and are rare, and because of that scarcity, men, we treat them as precious. When you fill every moment with words, Men with reassurance, with explanations. Man, you become like air, essential but invisible. Men. Then there's a ment. When you master silence, you become like the diamond, noticed, valued, and sought after. Women are deeply responsive to energy. Men. And silence radiates a very specific kind of energy. Men. It communicates composure. It communicates discipline. Man. It communicates that you are not desperate for constant attention. Man. And this creates a magnetic pull. You're not chasing. Man, you're holding. You're not scrambling for validation. Man, you're secure in yourself. This is incredibly attractive. This is incredibly attractive because it sends a signal of strength. Man and strength, when expressed through subtlety, man has far more impact than strength expressed through force. Man, another dimension here is mystery. Man, when you are always explaining yourself, man, always verbalizing what you think and feel, man, you leave no space for imagination. She knows everything. Man, she can predict everything, and therefore there is no intrigue. Meant, when you step back into silence, you invite curiosity. There's a man. She starts asking, what is he thinking? Why is he so calm? Man, why isn't he reacting the way other men would? A man, that mystery is intoxicating because it forces her to stay engaged. Man, to keep guessing, to wonder what's happening beneath the surface. Man. And mystery, when combined with restraint, there's a man, creates a powerful form of attraction. And then comes respect. Silence is born when boundaries are clear. Silence is a boundary. Man, it says, I will not over-explain myself. Man, I will not beg for your understanding. Man, I will not trade my dignity for temporary reassurance. That kind of boundary commands respect because it shows you value yourself. A man who respects himself earns respect from others. Men, especially women. Man. When you stay composed in silence instead of rushing into chaos. Man, you show her that you live by principle, not by impulse. Man, that you have control over your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Man, this restraint is a language in itself, and women are fluent and interpret it. Now, man, let's connect this with desire. Man is a man. Desire is not born from abundance. It's born from tension. There's a man. It's born from one wanting what is not fully in reach. Men. Silence generates that tension. Man. It makes her feel your presence by temporarily withholding the men. It creates a contrast that reignites the longing to connect. Men. Then there's Lon than me. Think of it like a flame. If you constantly blow on it, it goes out. Man. But if you let the air circulate naturally, there's a man. The flame grows stronger. Silence is that air. A man, it doesn't extinguish the connection. It strengthens the fire of curiosity. It strengthens the fire. Men, attraction and longing, some men. Of course, some men fear this. They think, if go silent, she'll forget me. She'll move on. A man, she'll think I don't care. But the truth is, man, if your presence had any impact on her at all, man, silence does the opposite. It deepens her awareness of you. Man, it sharpens her focus on what you meant in her life, makes her more conscious of the gap your absence creates. Man, and even if she tries to distract herself, man, even if she tries to act like it doesn't matter, silence lingers. Men, it plants a seed of curiosity that grows over time. And here's the ultimate lesson. Since silence is not passive, weak. It is not. It is not avoidance. It is deliberate. Man, it is powerful, and it is deeply communicative. Man, it speaks to her subconscious in a way words cannot. It says, I am not chasing. I am not dependent. I am not bound by fear. Man, I choose where I give my energy. That choice is what transforms silence into authority. Man. So when you go silent, remember, you are not disappearing. Man, you are not abandoning the conversation. Man, you are shifting the balance. Man, you are creating space for her to reflect, for her to wonder, for her to desire. And in that space, needed, you reveal something about yourself. Man, that your values does not decrease in absence, it multiplies.